welcome to our program. This is a program that will be talking about social issues that happen in the society, and we'll also be bringing guests who will be key informants in the same various and different topics that we'll be having. And today we are focusing on street children. I have a guest with me. I'd like him to introduce himself to us, and we will proceed on.
Okay, thank you, Lily. Hello, viewers. I'm Robert Njogu. I'm the Secretary or CEO to the Street Families Rehabilitation Trust Fund. This was a trust fund which was established through a gazette notice on 11th of March 2003. And its mandate is supposed to coordinate rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration of street families. Now, the fund was also started to take care of the less privileged, the vulnerable children who live in the street of our urban cities and towns, because they are part of our society. They are part of us, and that's why the trust fund was established. It has a vision. Its vision is to have a country free of street families, and we believe that it's achievable. We believe it is something which can be realized, and we are working towards that. Usually, we work with partner institutions. These are institutions which are well vetted, they are selected, and they qualify to be funded to undertake rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration on our behalf. And why we do this is because, as a trust fund, we do not have rehabilitation facilities. So we use these partner institutions to do this work for us. We have a staff we work with. We have a social worker. We have a children officer. And other reasonable staff who assist my office or who we work with to ensure that our mandate is realized.
Now, we see that we have a number of street children almost in every corner of the city. Go to Thika, Nakuru, almost everywhere. If I may ask, what is wrong? What is the reason as to why we have these street children? What is wrong with the society? Is it something that can be avoided and make sure that these children they stay to their homes? What is wrong?
Really, that is a very good question. It is a concern for everybody. We see children in the street, but you should also realize that we have many others in terms of thousands in the partner institution which I mentioned. Now, one thing is the street families per se is very, very tricky to define who is a street family, because some of the children we see in the streets are on business. They are sent to come from particularly from the slum areas to come and beg. They actually are the breadwinners of their families. Some beg and go back home. But there are those particular ones who have got nowhere to go. And those are the ones who qualify to be street families' children, for that matter. And they are limited.
And how do you come to know these are genuine street children and these are the ones who are just coming from the slums? Come and do business, go home. How do you have a structure or the way how that enables you to identify them?
Okay, we use our social workers who sometimes will come just across some children and we ask them what are they doing, where are their parents. And some, in fact, have their parents monitoring them from a distance. And that's how we establish that some come from the slums. Now, you also asked me the causes of this, the phenomenon of street children. Now, essentially, it's due to family breakdowns. And we have very many diverse reasons, but the major reasons are, one is poverty, particularly in the slums. Then we also have social family breakdowns. You know, families break down, children are left without anybody taking care of, and so on. We also have those others who actually are left by parents because of the HIV/AIDS scourge. And when they are left with the relatives, the distant relatives, some of them do not take care of them. So some end up being in the street because the families are not taking good care of them, and they find it, in fact, a hell on earth sometimes when they are in some family. We have seen cases of children who are brutalized, who are defiled, who are punished just because of very simple reasons and so on. So they opted to go to the street, join their colleagues there, thinking that life might be better there because they live a free life, kind of.
And how do you get these children into these rehabilitation centers? Do you talk to them and they accept willingly they're coming to the rehabilitation centers, or they're just being grabbed from the streets and taken to the rehabilitation centers?
Okay, now as a state fund, we believe in using humane ways of getting these children. And that's why we have a children officer. That's why we have a social worker who go down there in the streets and talk to them. Now, okay, also, if I may remind you about our mandate is to coordinate. So we are actually not supposed to go to the streets ourselves as individuals to pick these children. So what we do, those partner institutions which we use, they have a variety of workers who can be able to deal with these children. So they are the ones who go to the streets, they identify the genuine street children, they talk to them sweetly, and they place them into rehabs. After they are rehabilitated, they are placed into schools. And those who may not be able to pursue formal education, they are provided with the education and the training, vocational skills, and so on. They do carpentry, they do motor vehicle mechanic, they do beauty therapy and salon work, and such a kind of training.
And now that the county government, for example, the county government of Nairobi is planning to set up a rehabilitation center that will accommodate quite a number of street children. Is it going to be a solution? Because this thing of street children has been there for many years. Is it going to be a solution, or it's just, you know?
Okay, allow me to say that Rome was not built in one day. And the fact that the county government of Nairobi putting up a rehabilitation center is a step forward. Because what will happen is they will be getting children from the city and taking them to that rehab center. But take note that it is the city families are supposed to be under the custody of county government. So this phenomena, the Nairobi City County government are being a rehab for their own children in the city. So each county should actually go that path and so on. Otherwise, we cannot say that after the Nairobi City County put up this rehab center, that will be the end of the city children in this republic. That will only be in this city. So another city like Mombasa, they are supposed to do the same. Kisumu are supposed to be the same. But take note, most of the children who are in Nairobi, those city children who are in Nairobi, do not come from Nairobi only. They are from all over this country. They are from all the counties in the 47 counties, because they migrate to Nairobi thinking that it could be for better pasture or something like that, and so on. Yes.
What about resource mobilization as per your organization?
Mm-hmm. We do resource mobilization. We are funded well by our government. By the way, the State Family Rehabilitation Trust Fund is affiliated in the the State Department of Special Programs, which is a state department in the Ministry of Devolution and Planning. So our CAS is Honorable Mwangi Kionjure, and our Principal Secretary is Madam Josepheta Mukobe, and so on. So this is a department of the government. So our funding comes from the exchequer. And we are funded well, I would say adequately well at this juncture, I would say so. Because like this year around, we are allocated 264 million to do that coordination of rescuing, rehabilitation and reintegration. And as much, though this may not be adequate, it is something which the government is doing to ensure that these vulnerable children in the streets get their share.
You say that you've been funded very well.
Not very well, adequately well. Yes.
If I may ask, with the monies that you receive, has it been effective, or there's a scenario whereby people come in and they masquerade as people who are working with street children, and then they get monies which are not entitled to? Do you have such cases, and how do you deal with it?
Could it be in the past, Lily, before I came into the State Rehabilitation Trust Fund, we used to hear cases like you have mentioned. We used to hear that there were some briefcase institutions who could be funded, but when you go to the ground, you find that the work they were doing, sometimes the government was not getting value. But since I took over, we have been very, very strict. We have a selection criteria, we have a funding criteria, and we don't just dish money just like that. We have some basis, we have parameters we look at, even for this institution to be approved. It is a very rigorous exercise. They have to fulfill so many requirements. One, they need to be registered. They have to be registered. They should have a certificate of registration. It should not be a one-man show. There should be some governance structure. There should be a board of directors and so on. Indeed, this board of directors, the key staff of these institutions, should even have what we call certificate of good conduct to ensure that when children are when they have children, they can be handled well by qualified people, and so on and so forth. So the issue that we mentioned about people miscarrying, like partners, yes, they have been there in the past. I cannot say no, but since I took over, we do not have such stories.
Okay. And what happens after these children have been rehabilitated when they go outside in the marketplace? Is there discrimination, or they are being absorbed in?
Lily, you see, the street children or the street families, for that matter, do not have labels. They are like you and me. They are human beings. It's only that sometimes their way of dressing itself is a code of dressing, such that you can tell that one is a street child and so on. But if these children are taken care of, they are cleaned, they are educated, they are trained, they are not different from me and me. So there is no discrimination. What we are trying to emphasize, Lily, is to have an exit strategy where after these children leave these rehab centers, they are empowered to go and start something which can help them to earn some livelihood. We have some institutions who are doing very, very good work, like the Mabati Technical Training Institute at Mariakani, Mombasa. This institution, I think every institution should borrow from that, because what they do, after they train these children, after they train these youth, then they have a very good exit strategy where they give them what we call start of kits. So if you are being trained in carpentry, you get all the tools, all the requirements which you need to go and start off. In fact, you only need space. If you are trained in saloon work, you are given even those shampoos, you are given even those machines, the dryers, the blow dryers, and so on and so forth. And what you need after you leave that institution is just a space to go and start off. You are given everything. Those who do welding, electrical welding, they are given that huge machine of welding. They are even given welding rods. They only need a space to go and start off. So if all institutions can be empowered to have such exit strategy, then I'm telling you, these street children can be people who can be productive citizens of this country.
Okay, viewers, let's now take a short break. We'll be right back after a short while. Stay tuned.
Yeah, yeah. If you not give me, I no go take go. Only your love I appreciate go. If you not give me, I no go take go. Baby girl, let's relate to. Tunde kula pesa, 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 pesa. Tunde kula pesa, 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 pesa. Cuba, gun away, baby, wine for me, wine for me, the gun away, wine for me, baby, wine for me. You got me feeling some kind of way. Terra, oh terra, fan ho gaya. Terra, hai jabra fan ho gaya. Oh tujhe dekh ke hi dil mein dhड़कन हो गया. मैं तुझको चुराया है, पाया है ये जहां. तुझको चुराया है, पाया है ये जहां. तुझे इतनी भी खबर है कि तेरा हीरो इधर है, तेरा ध्यान किधर है, ये तेरा हीरो इधर है, तेरा ध्यान किधर है, ये तेरा हीरो इधर है.
This is your show. We talk about career planning and development.
People worship entrepreneurship. You look at entrepreneurs, you see them driving good cars, but it's not as easy as that.
It's very prudent not to postpone your dreams. If you believe in something, go for it.
say 90% of the opportunities happen because of just showing up. Just showing up, period. If it's a tender that you're looking for, just show up, yes?
There are millions of ideas out there. The ones that do and make an effort with the little resource that you have, with the empty pockets that you have. What can you do?
Welcome back, and with me is the CEO, Rehabilitation Trust Fund, and let's now move on and see, has the devolution affected how these street children operate? Because we didn't have county governments, and right now we have county governments, and we have cities there. Do these street children also go to other? Okay, can we say that the devolution has also decentralized them from the city, or is there any difference?
Of course, the effect of devolution cannot be overlooked. For one, you see now counties are independent. There is more money given to counties and so on, disbursement from the national government, and so we cannot rule out the effect of devolution. So, like for instance, you remember the case which happened at Eldoret, and I think you read it in the media, in the print media, in the electronic media, where the street children are said to have been burdened in vehicles and be taken to their counties by the county government of was the issue. Now you see, such a phenomenon, such a process, or such an event, or such a thing would not have taken place if we did not have a county government, because the county government want to clean their city, their town. Yes, so that there can be business. You see, anyway, as much as these children are ours, sometimes they affect business in town. Do you know that? Sometimes they are also associated with insecurity and crime in towns and cities. So we cannot rule out the effect of devolution. And really, we are also planning to partner with all the county governments in this republic, where we are thinking, this is a long-term plan, where we think that if the county government can give us land, we as the national government can raise funds, we look for the donors, the partners, and we put rehab centers in all the counties where these children can be taken care of. Because you see, we cannot ignore that group of people. They are from our society, they do not come from the air, they are our product and so on, they are our children. And they are supposed to enjoy all the rights stipulated in our Constitution 2010, and so on and so forth. So that's why this trust fund is a very, very important and critical government department, and so on. We want to coordinate that, get the county government on board, we partner with them, they give us a lot. By the way, sometimes back, our CS had already written to the county governments, and a few of them had responded very positively, including the Ebu County, Laikipia County, and something like that. We have also mentioned Nairobi County itself is coming up with a rehab center. So this is the way to go, really. And I believe that when we work with the county government, we can actually realize our vision of having a country free of street families.
And when we look at the vulnerability of these children living in the streets, let's now maybe look at the challenges they go through while in the streets.
Of course, being in the streets has its own challenges. Now, one, the environment itself is hostile. You can imagine you are living in the streets and it is raining. It is cold. Imagine the June, July months when it is extremely cold in this country. It is wet sometimes and you are in the street. That is so hostile, and that's a very, very serious challenge. The other challenge, Lily, is natural. In the streets, there is no livelihood. and there's no food, and so on. So lack of food, lack of those basic necessities, lack of toilets, really. All these are challenges, huge challenges. Lack of clothing, lack of, remember that Maslow's hierarchy of needs? If you consider it critically, none of those needs is being taken care of by somebody when they are in the streets. Because for one, you need the basic these basic needs, these physiological needs, food and all that, water and so on. They need affection, they need love. Those are some of the basics also according to that hierarchy of needs. So there are very, very many challenges, but the worst challenge is the environment. Remember also, sometimes they are manhandled. Sometimes there is stigmatization. When you see a street child, looking oily, looking dirty, nobody wants to be near them. That's a serious challenge of rejection and so on. So there are multiple, myriad, so many challenges that I may not be able to enumerate them in this whatever this time. So there are too many.
And is there a need for public awareness? What should the public know about the street families? How should they handle them?
There is public awareness, Lily.
Is that cruel that nobody should be near them?
Well, you see, our broad mandate being coordination of rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration has got also some sub-functions. One of our functions is mobilization of funds. Another function is creating awareness, public awareness and education, public awareness and education to the public, on the plight of the street children, to tell them that these are our children, and if we don't take care of them, it's a time bomb. They end up being criminals in the city, and crime does not select Lily or Robert, It will affect all of us in the Republic. In fact, Lily, are made to understand that most of the crimes in urban centers, over 80%, are linked to the street families. Yes, and you can imagine when they go through that cruelty in the streets, that hardship, when they become criminals, they will be ruthless. They will be ruthless. They will not sympathize with anybody, and so on and so forth. So I would say that we created awareness. Last week, but one, we had an event in all the in some 4 counties, in Kisumu, Nakuru, Mombasa, Nyeri, and one of the major objectives of these events, we were calling it psychosocial support services, where we bring these children together from institutions which we are partnering, and even from the street, and we talk to them. We invite counselors, they talk to them, they encourage them, they motivate them that they can move from that situation of the street to be somebody. They can become productive citizens of this country. So part of the objective of such an event is awareness, actually.
Now that structures are being laid down to be able to reduce the number of street children across the cities, and you mentioned that there are those who are not street children but they come and beg and go. Is there a plan that is being in place for them so that they can also be reduced, or for them it's okay for them to be in the streets now that you want to reduce the number of street children?
Lily, the problem we have in this nation of ours, this beloved country of ours, is that very many people do not do what they are supposed to do. You see, if all the good legislation we have in this country are implemented to the letter, we shall find a very limited number of the street children. For one, consider the Basic Education Act. Education is free. We have free primary education. We have free secondary education. So all those children you see around, particularly those who leave home to come and beg, are supposed to be in school. So if there was somebody to enforce this rule, this Basic Education Act, to ensure that all school-going age children are in school, what will they be doing in the streets? Then you consider the Children Act. The Children Act is supposed to provide, there's provision of a good environment for the children, all the children, So if somebody, particularly the children department, came in and implemented some of those children, I mean, that registration in the Children Act, we shall have limited number of children in the street. But now, some of those very good laws, the Basic Education Act, the Children Act, nobody, apparently, according to, in my own view, take time to implement them to the latter. Yes, I wish they could be enforced.
And from your own observation, since the inception of this institution of Street Family Rehabilitation Trust Fund, has it brought any difference in terms of the number of street children, the population of street children? Or it has, it's still at the equilibrium, if I may say so? Has it reduced, or how is the state?
Okay, I would say it has done a lot. As we talk now, over 6,000 youth are in colleges and universities, or have gone through universities, have gone through colleges, and so on. As we talk now, we have over 5,000 children in these partner institutions. As we talk now, we have the product of this program who are wasanii. They are celebrities, and you can name them. They are there. So I would say it has made an impact. But you see, as I said earlier, the phenomenon of street family is very, very complicated. Because you see, it's like, you see, like even the government has so many programs to eradicate poverty. But poverty is not yet at zero level. Why? It's because children are born every day. You know, we don't have a stagnant population. The population is growing. There is that dynamics of the population and growth, you see. So even when we get rid of that, some of the street children, some more others come in, you know. So it's a very complicated, it's a kind of a vicious cycle. But I want to assure you that we are aiming at achieving our vision of having a country free of street families. Yes.
That has been the CEO of the Street Family Rehabilitation Trust Fund. We've come to the conclusion of our program. I've been your host, Lily Shivoko. Until we meet next time, have a nice time.